Is the Nigerian mental health system by design? As a Nigerian, I always see the Americans and other developed country citizens talk about their mental health, raising awareness online, holding summits for their programs, and then actually effecting changes to address their mental health issues through policy, structure, and community. Looking into Nigeria, we also do the same thing, raise awareness online, and holding summits to talk about change. But then it stops there. A lot of our mental health discourse in this country is mainly online and never translates into real effective changes in policy that helps the citizens. Why? Am I contributing to the discourse by making this video? Is there any effort we can look to that tells a different story? Why is our attitude towards mental health almost adversarial? There's a saying that everybody in Nigeria is crazy or mad. This statement, although satirical, echoes the real dark nature of a crisis no one will mention aloud. This is Nigeria's mental health crisis. There are plenty of statistics about the state of mental health in Nigeria, but this overview pretty much sums it up. 90% of Nigerians do not have access to mental health care. That is 216 million people, out of which 50 million are living with mental health issues. We have less than 400 licensed mental health professionals in Nigeria, a country of 240 million people. Not mental health advocates, licensed mental health professionals. Those are different. That is less than one therapist for every 6 million people. Or, as I like to put it, not even a full WhatsApp group chat worth of professionals made to serve a whole country. The current mental health care budget of the nation is reportedly 3.3% of an already underfunded healthcare budget, which itself is roughly 4.5% of the national budget of Nigeria. A far cry from its 15% minimum target set by policies and regulation. This is not talking about how much of the allocated budget was actually disbursed to meet the needs of the people, which will always end up as a lower amount compared to its allocated budget. You need a number for reference. The estimate from calculations using the current national budget puts the budget allocated to mental health at a value of 3.6 billion naira or $2.6 million for the whole country. The current day policies, such as the Mental Health Act of 2023, have failed in their implementations due to a lack of accountability, inadequate resources and distribution, and a clear lack of structure not unique to the health sector alone, but massively amplified due to its scale. The demographics of affected people are as follows: women facing perinatal mental disorders, internally displaced persons suffering from PTSD, rural and northern populations with very limited access to mental health care, adolescents and young people being more predisposed to mental health issues like depression and anxiety stemming from academic stress, unemployment, substance use, social media pressure, etc. Persons with severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, severe depression, and other psychosocial disabilities. With all this in mind, it begs the question of why things are the way they are. And that is why I ask, could all of this be intentional by design? The fact that a crisis can be happening to such a terrible degree and nothing is being done about it. My answer after looking at the hard facts is yes and no. Yes, because neglect is a common theme when discussing mental health. This is a top to bottom problem and not just unique to the health sector in Nigeria. However, the stigma regarding mental health is still in full force in Nigeria. be it through cultural, religious, or social influences. Mental health is downplayed most times among social groups and communities, rarely discussed, and even if brought up, either attributed to causes without taking proper steps to rectify issues, or mocked, laughed at, or just ignored. We can only ignore a problem for so long without fixing it. Or no, because in our hierarchy of needs as a society, mental health ranks the lowest. In a grueling cycle of hustle to attain wealth, security, economic progress, and stability, highlighted by an environment that perpetuates insecurity, violence, corruption, poverty, terrorism, and other vices echoed in the hyper reality that is social media. We automatically relegate other quality of life improvements like mental health to the backseat in order to navigate the country that is Nigeria. This doesn't mean we haven't done anything yet. We have mental health professionals, but of the few we have, they probably seek to work where their services will actually be compensated, like a high income state or abroad. And religious leaders do a lot of the heavy lifting where the system falls short through counseling and faith based approaches to the problem. But the reality is, there are only so many problems that can be addressed by religious leaders, as a lot of them are not trained to handle more extreme cases like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, PTSD, etc. And the study I draw my findings from mentions that rights violations happen very frequently to those who have mental disabilities. So, is there a solution? For now, and maybe till the next 50 to 100 years, no. As bleak as that sounds, that is the reality of the situation. If things remain the same, like the policies without proper implementation, and the society that fundamentally cares very little or not at all about mental health, there is no logical reason to believe that things will change. We can't just wake up and expect people to stop being depressed, anxious, or crazy. Remember the phrase, all Nigerians are mad. It will probably hold through for a couple more years. The dark reality that Nigerians will never crawl out of the hole they dug themselves in, only to sink in further in the everyday despair of a bad environment, while sucking up the associated negative emotions and moving like ticking time bombs, waiting for the timer to hit zero before detonation. And here's my honest take. I don't think taking on new policy changes will fix anything. I don't think more accountability will change the status quo. What will serve as the catalyst for change is fundamental individual change in our society's approach and attitude towards mental health care. We can talk about it, write about it, but if the average individual still doesn't care, the society follows suit. So the question is, what could possibly change the narrative of mental health care on the individual level? Like I mentioned in the beginning, watching Americans, Europeans, and other advanced countries take steps to actually effecting changes to address their mental health issues through policy, structure, and community is inspiring. Talking about the problem is the first step. We've been on step one for far too long without taking the next step, which is effecting the change, making sure discussion transcends into action. Action that can be executed with full responsibility, accountability, and good intent. Through good policy, structure, and community. Fundamentally changing the old way of just surviving to living well. With all this said, it looks like the only way to surmount this issue is to ultimately become a better version of society we consist of today, which will be an uphill battle against certain cultural beliefs, lifestyles, norms, and principles. A kind of societal revolution which at its core is formed on the basis of doing better and being better, but on a fundamental scale from the highest officials to the regular citizen. Because without that, the crisis will only exist to perpetuate itself, as the reality we currently live in shows. Thanks for watching this far. Leave your comments or your thoughts about the state of things below. Tell me what you think about the mental health situation in Nigeria and how you feel about it. If you gained something from this video, do well to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.